In this video, we will take a look at creating line graphs in STATA. For reference, we are using the aggregated dataset as shown in the first video of this playlist. So when we are creating line graphs, the y-axis variables come first and the command ends with the x-axis variables. So for example, we would like to plot, let's say, 3 variables in a line graph versus one given particular x-axis variable. So then the command would be like line. So this tells STATA that we would like to create a line plot. And then first variable name, second variable name, third variable name. So these 3 variables we would like to plot on the y-axis versus the variable that we would like to plot on the x-axis. So this would be the typical command to create line graphs in STATA, and we'll give a comma followed by any other options that we would like to use. So let's plot the mean log of wage by years. For our reference, we can remember that in this dataset, race equals to 1 refers to white, 2 refers to black, and 3 refers to others. So when I run this first line of code, line log of wage versus year, and we are giving this graph the name G1. So here we have a nice line plot of wages for the given interview years, and we can see that we have a positive trend, but we can't really get much more out of this because it's all jumbled up. So since we know that we have 3 different races in this dataset, so let's run it for just one race, for example. And this graph is much more easier to interpret than the previous one. So what we did here is we specified that we would like to plot the graph for only one race. In this case, race equals to 1 for white. And we can see that the graph is cleaner. So let's plot by different races in one code. So we'll be using the command two-way followed by line, and then whatever variables we'd like to plot. And we would like to repeat this command by this category. So the category variable is race, and we're giving name G2. So what this does is it repeats the command each time for each unique observations in the category race. So we have 3 different graphs for white, black, and others. And we can see that the relationships are similar. They're increasing over the years, but the magnitudes are different within the among the 3 different groups. Okay, so now let's organize the graph further. So this whole bit of code is one line of code, but we can display it by breaking the lines using the 3 slashes here. So two-way line log of wage against years, we are going to create it by race, and we would like to give the graph title. So we'll just give any title you want. Here I'm giving plot of wage by race, and we're using the command total. So what this will do is it will also create an additional plot where it will plot all of the 3 together in one panel. We are giving the x-axis title. Instead of interview year, I would like to display years, and instead of mean of ln wage, I would like to display log of wage. And now we can see that we have a much better graph that we can use in our papers or in assignments, or if we'd like to display it somewhere else. One important thing that we need to remember when we are using the by option is this by option basically loops over the observations and runs this the main command every time for different observations. So if I give the title command outside the by, then it will basically loop the by every time, in this case 3 times for 3 different races. So I have to keep the title inside the by command itself. So let's take a look at the next one, and we have some difference here in the next one. And what the difference is that the next graph is more compact, and that's what it is. The command name is compact here, and we have IY tick here. So this bit of code basically tells STATA that we want to keep the tick on the y-axis labels. Versus here we have no IY tick. So if I run this one, we would see that we don't have any Y ticks. And as you can see, there is no tick marks on the y-axis. And the previous one we have tick marks. So by default it gives tick marks, but if you specify no IY ticks or IX ticks, then it will get rid of the tick marks. And here we have no IX label. So what it does, you can see that we don't have the years anymore in the X labels, but we have the ticks. So these are just examples to demonstrate that how we can customize the graph further. So we still have the compact and the total, so we get all 4 panels. It's compact as well. So this has been one demonstration. So let's take a look at further, a little bit more complicated and more polished graphs that we can use for publications. So I'll drop all of the graphs that I've already created up to this point. So graph drop all does that. So let's focus on only one race now, and let's make a publication quality graph. And the code is this. And now we can see we have a pretty decent graph. We have the plots of wages by years for 2 races, white and black. They have different line patterns, they have different line colors, and we have the graph nicely labeled. So let's take a look at the command that we've used. We've used two-way first, and then for the first one we have it wrapped in one set of parentheses, and then inside the parentheses we have line followed by the variable names, and then we're specifying the race, and then we're specifying line pattern. In this case it's dash, and line color is blue for this one, and then we're giving a line break. And then for the second one we're also wrapping it into one set of parentheses, and similar code follows. Race equals to 2 instead, and line pattern is dot, and line color is red. And we'd like to give the title wage by years and race. And so we are also now customizing the labels. So we do that by using legend, and then the first label is for white and the second label is for black, and X title and Y title followed by giving the graph a name. So this is a pretty neat graph that we can use. Let's add a linear fit with each of the graphs. So let's first take a look at what happens when we run this block of code. And so what STATA does is STATA basically runs a regression and creates a line of prediction using the simple linear regression between these two variables, and it plots the fitted values here. And we've basically created 4 different elements, and each of them are wrapped in their own set of parentheses. And for the linear fits I've used lfit, log of wage year if race equals to 1, similar thing if race equals to 2, followed by all the other things that we would like to customize here. So this is for all I have for line graphs. I hope you've been helped by this video. In the next video we'll take a look at other different types of graphs using the same dataset. Thank you. If you like my videos and find them helpful, then please support my work by subscribing to the channel.